The Go Radio Business Show with Trywire.com.
Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Willie.
Well, it's been a bit of a week for me and you. I think we've been all over the place, especially you.
Yeah, well, I'm broadcasting live from London this morning, so...
Well, I thought the only way to start, Tom, is to talk about the magnificent conference that you hosted and put together up at Gleneagles last week. I think it's fair to say that the 300-odd people who attended were blown away with the quality and the content of the guests. So a big well done to you and everybody at the Hunter Foundation. It was a fantastic conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real team effort, Willie, but we love doing it. I mean, basically, to be able to get those amount of people, Gleneagles is a special place. It goes way back to our days of the Entrepreneurial Exchange, Willie, which you were part of. So, yeah, I think it was good, and we invited the leaders of each political party to come and tell the business audience what they would do for, excuse me, for the economy. Some of them stuck to the brief, some of them didn't stick to the brief, but it was first of all good of them to come. I'm going to take that as a win, to have 6 party leaders in the one room. They didn't fall out, which was good. And yeah, I took a bit of positive stuff from what each of them had said. How about yourself?
I thought, I have to say this, to get 6 leading politicians, the leader of, you say, the 6 parties, to come all the way to Perthshire for 8 o'clock in the morning, knowing that they're only going to get 15 minutes, I think, fair play to you, but well done to them. Well done to them for coming, for thinking it was that important that they had to be there. And I thought that everybody in the audience was actually blown away with the fact that they all came. It was interesting to hear what they had to say, and also then to hear what the audience had to say after that. But for all our followers, our viewers and listeners, that was powerful. Right? We've got an election coming up next year. So to hear firsthand from the 6 leaders what they thought, and especially in relation to business, a lot of people in the audience got points. I mean, somebody flew in all the way from Monaco to make a point about the rates in Scotland, right? So that was worth his journey. But I think that it was, and I also think, talking to a couple of the politicians, I had a good chat with the First Minister, John Swinney, and I had a cup of tea with Anis Sawar after it. And I think that they actually enjoyed the experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, my point to them all when I was asking them to come was, look, we in the business sector don't expect politicians to have all the answers about business. We just don't. But in that room, you could have asked you about housing, you could have asked Andrew Malcolm about transport, you could have asked Eddie Hawthorne, Russell Burry about the car trade and the consumer. There was experts in the room who want to help the Scottish economy. And I mean, I'm not being controversial when I say when Nicola Sturgeon was First Minister, she cut us out. And that was to the detriment of Scotland. Now, John Swinney is better, but, is the Housing Minister speaking to you, Willie? I don't expect Mary McCallum to know all the answers about housing, but I expect her, if she's a good leader, she'll say, right, I don't know that, but let me take points of view from people who do know, and then I'll make up my mind.
Yeah, to answer your question, sorry, I haven't spoke to Mary McCallum yet, but I look forward to it. I've heard, some of the things that have came from our office over the last few weeks, and it'll be interesting that when we do meet. But as you say, we just want the best for Scotland. And at the moment, day to day, whoever's in power, then we want Scotland to go on now, right now. So hopefully from that, Tom, that things will move, hopefully.
The only politician really to hang about for a bit longer half the day was Alex Cole-Hamilton. So good on him. He spoke to a lot of the people there and listened and learned. So that was good. I know Anis had some meetings in there. So then we had a brilliant lineup of speakers. We had Roisin, Chief Executive Greggs. That's a great barometer of how the UK consumer is feeling. And she was expertly interviewed by comedian Brian Suter. He had the place.
Yeah, pretending to be an entrepreneur.
He had the place in uproar. Brian is, I don't know about unconscious, but he's certainly a comedian. We had Greg Jackson from Octopus Energy, again saying that Scotland's energy could be cheaper, and it was quite straightforward. I know you sat beside him at dinner. I'm sure you were bending his ear about a few things. We started off the morning with David Yarrow, a great Scotsman who's become the world's biggest selling fine art photographer. So a brilliant photograph of the European Ryder Cup winning team under the Brooklyn Bridge. He managed to close Brooklyn to make that. We had Mike Chitania, an old pal of mine we bought the body shop with. So we just had a fantastic day. And to top it all, we managed to get Nile Rodgers to come and talk about his life, which is unbelievable, and his music.
Tom, I can honestly say to you that sometimes when you're listening to someone and after a while you kind of switch off, you could listen to Nile Rodgers talking for 10 hours and not get bored. What a story, and the way that he delivers it as well. That was an experience that people will never forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable, Willie. But, you know, it's a wee bit of a risk when we're putting this together, because just because I love him, I'm trying to think of my audience, but it worked this time. It worked.
Is there any way that you would think about putting the DVD or the video or whatever online at the conference?
I've got a meeting with Ewan next week to discuss that exact thing. We won't do the political part because that was a private session, and we told the politicians that. Laura Kunsberg officiated that for us, which was very good of her, and she said she couldn't take a fee, but she supports a food bank in North Glasgow, which is very, very good of her. So we sent a donation there.
Well, if we at the Go Radio, if Rochelle and the team here can help you in any way put that together and get it out there, we'd be delighted to help.
That would be great, Willie. Thank you very much.
Right, nothing to talk about this week, no, really. So the big story is flip-flopping, right? Rachel, obviously you know what happens when budgets. They leak all the bad stuff out there so it's not a bitter pill to swallow when the day comes. But obviously it looks like this week, apart from all the uproar about leaks from Downing Street, about potential challenges, right, to the Prime Minister's title. Obviously, the big news is it looks like that we're going to backtrack on, and I say we're going to backtrack on the 2% increase in income tax.
Oh, Willie, I despair. If I had any hair, I would pull it out. I can't remember in living memory a budget that's had more leaks or, you know, whatever we want to call it. There's been every single tax known to man or woman put out there. Oh, do you think this would happen? And I went to bed last night. We were overseeing our daughters opened a wee shop here in London. We were overseeing it. And by the time I woke up this morning, I wake up early. I couldn't believe the headline in the FT was that they had decided not to do it. So what was the point of the press conference a Tuesday ago? What was the point? But here's the serious thing, Willie. You and I, and the thing about speaking to people at the conference, we're speaking to what I call the real economy. We're speaking to businesses who make decisions every single day of the week. And because they're thinking, oh, taxes are going up, this is there, they have halted investment, Willie. They have halted hiring, and we're going to come on to unemployment. So these things have real world consequences. And I would say the run up to this budget, and I'm going to use the word farce, and I would use it whatever political party it was, this is no way to govern a country.
So let me say to you, and I want to make this clear to the viewers and the listeners, what I'm about to say, I'm not saying as a co-presenter on the Go Radio. I'm saying this as someone who is a member of the Labour Party and I'm a peer in the House of Lords, right? So when you make decisions in the Treasury everyone is open to opinion, okay, about how good or bad things worked out, okay? Here is the facts. Put everybody's opinions to one side. Here is the facts. Unemployment has now risen to 5%, the highest it's been in 5 years. Gilts are at one of its highest levels at 4.75, and this is the rate at which the government can borrow money at. GDP growth is at 0.1%, right? And inflation is still above the target of 2%, right? These are the 4 indicators that tell you whether you've got it right or you've got it wrong. All these indicators, Rachel, mean that we haven't got it right. So whatever the budget looks like in a week and a bit's time now, I don't know who's advising you, but whoever it is, we are getting it wrong. So what we're doing, it's to people who are all leaving the country. I'm told now that the latest thing might be if she's taking the rumour is that income tax was going to go up by 2% and NI contribution was going to go down by 2%. So I just wonder now, and Rachel, I'm a fan, right? I'm trying to help here. I'm not having a go, but whatever's happening, the facts are we are not getting it right. So whoever is advising us, whether we're leaning too much with the OBR, and maybe Mark Carney's right, we shouldn't bother with what they've got to say, right? But whatever is going on here, and the Bank of England are also saying that they're worried about where things are going, right? The markets there's a semi kind of downturn in the markets today. So all the indicators are that business and big business are not happy at the route we're going down in order to raise taxes. But what will be interesting is, if we are going to backtrack on the 2% increase in income tax, are we still going to go forward with a 2% decrease in NI contribution?
Oh dear, Willie. So, I mean, the last budget, which seems a long time ago, we said at the time that, one, they said, oh, we're going for growth, and then they put up employers' NI. And I said at the time, look, what will happen here is small businesses will freeze their hiring. They might even pay people off. Those people then have to claim unemployment benefit. So it's a double whammy to the economy. What's happened, we've lost 180,000 jobs since the last budget. I would say it goes down to confidence of the business owner, and the people just saying, well, I don't know what's round the corner. Consumer confidence is gubbed. Therefore, that's a technical term, by the way. Therefore,
is that an Ayrshire technical term?
I'm not going to hire. And those people then get put on the dole. And so 180,000 jobs lost since the last budget. Come on.
But Tom, it's worse than that. As you say that 60% of these jobs came from retail and the hospitality industry, which you've been going on about for a long, long time.
Well, these are the jobs, Willie, where people, if you're on a knife edge and you've got cost of living increases, you've got rent increases, you've got rates increases, you've got all of these things, and then the Chancellor hits you with an NI increase, you go, right, I cannot increase my top line anymore. Therefore, the only thing I can do is cut my expenses. Now, the Chancellor should be taking a lesson from that. And we've talked about it many times before. But she is saying, there are certain things going to come in this budget that's going to put the public spending up. I'm in despair, Willie. I don't know where this is going to go.
My worry, Tom, is that if they have reacted from noise from backbenchers about we promised the country we would not increase income tax, in this short period now, if they've got to come up with an idea as how they fill that gap, then I'm worried that we end up getting a knee-jerk reaction, right, on the back of a fag packet, right, about what we're going to do. Because what I'll tell you this is, see if you get it wrong, see all those key indicators that we mentioned earlier, they're only going to go one way. right? And it's not going to be good.
They're only going to go one way, Willie. So the only way to get out of this is to get businesses investing and hiring and growing. And everything that this Labour government has done has not achieved that. And somebody's got to be honest with her. You've been very honest this morning and say, Chancellor, if this was a business, we would be changing tack.
Yeah. We're not making these comments to have a go. We're trying to say, is there anything in this where you can pivot and look and say, here's what we're going to do? Because we just have to go back to pre the election. We promised the country we would be the party for business. We haven't done anything to show that we're going to back that up. And I'd like to see something in this budget where people get a bit of, light at the end of the tunnel, and let's see what we can do going forward. But hopefully they'll come up with something that blows us away.
Yeah, well, let me get on to another hobby horse of mine, as the First Minister called it to me last week, which is Scottish income tax rates. So as we all know, the government decided in Scotland to put up, they've brought in another band of income tax for high earners in Scotland. I'm against it. I'm about attracting the best we can to Scotland, attract the talent, retain the talent. But these aren't my words. These are the Auditor General's words, an independent body in Scotland, a very good guy called Stephen Boyle. And he's looked at, have the higher income tax rates benefited Scotland? And his words are, the Scottish Government needs to be more transparent with the public and Parliament about net tax choices on the Scottish budget. Now, let me be clear. This isn't the government's money they're dealing with. It's your money, it's my money, it's taxpayers' money, hard-working people's tax, and how dare they not be transparent about it? How dare they not tell us, is this working or not working? That's their job. It's not their money, Willie.
No, you're right. And I think the Stephen Boyle kind of intervention there kind of cleared things up for a lot of people, right? To say, well, okay, I understand it a bit better now. We don't get the full benefit. I think it was like 1.5 billion if I take, but we all end up with 660 million or something like that, whatever the numbers were. But I think that what we have to do is like, we do have powers in Scotland that we don't use, right? And we've just been waxing lyrically for 10 minutes about what we think about the budgets down south. I'd like to see somebody clever within the government and saying, now we've got a plan, right? We've got a better plan, right? So maybe all the things that we're talking about is, I think Scotland's the right size to be radical. So if the UK wants to chase away all the high earners and all the people who have got a few quid, then what can we do to attract them to Scotland?
Chase them to Scotland.
Chase them to Scotland, right? And Scotland will flourish 100%. So I think that what we need to do is that this blame culture of anything that's good, we'll try and take the credit, anything that's bad, we'll blame the UK, right? I think we need to be clever in that as a country, right? And that's across all parties, whatever it is. I think the people of Scotland kind of deserve better, right? And I think that you said in that room last week, we had somebody that represented every sector, right, at the very highest level and at the lowest level, right, in the supply chain. Yeah. I think all those politicians staying for a day and listening to what these people have to say, right, would give them a much better idea of how they had to frame what the system should look like, and especially in relation to tax. And what we're making it quite clear. We're not on here saying put taxes down, right? We need to be clever here about how we fill the gap.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I've got to repeat it because there was quite a bit in social media this week saying I was only opening my mouth and letting my guts rumble. I really liked that one. I haven't heard that since.
I'm glad I wasn't there when that happened.
But this isn't about you and me, Willie. We're going to be fine, but we care about our country. And while Westminster doesn't seem to be going the right way, Scotland should go a different way, and I think we can really flourish. Now, one thing that's come out this week, Kate Forbes, she's going to leave by the next election, and I think she'll be badly missed. But she has come out with a proposal where Scotland can raise its own debt. The UK call it gilts. Some clever person has called it kilts. And this is, oh, the kilts come up on the screen. Very good. Well done, Rochelle. And all we can, what this is about is the government borrowing money, because what they take from the taxpayer isn't enough to run everything. Now, there's a wee bit smoke and mirrors round about it, and I'm a bit of an anorak in this stuff, Willie, so I actually do understand it. So they were saying, oh yes, we've got the same credit rating as the UK. Well, yes, because we're part of the UK. I mean, but we would have to pay a premium because we're Scotland. And if we were independent, we would have to pay a big premium because we wouldn't have the backing of the rest of the UK. But anyway, there's an initial 300 million perhaps. Puts it into perspective. The UK government, and you and I always get this number wrong between us, but I think the UK government's about 2.6 trillion of debt.
Yes, 2.6 it is now.
And, you know, it seems to me that we can't go past this show by talking about trillions. I can't quite get my head round about it. But, okay, it's a novel way, but it's okay, and every business owner watching and listening to this will say it's one thing borrowing money, it's what you do with the money that decides if you're successful or not.
Here's my message to Kate. Remember, you will only be able to borrow with the quality of the assets under your kilt.
That has put me off my porridge this morning, that's for sure.
Right, let's get moved to the biggest story of the week. Obviously, it was a bombshell, I think, Monday morning when it was announced that SoftBank had sold its entire stake in Nvidia. So we should tell people, SoftBank, right, one of the largest financial institutions in the world, investing across all sorts of sectors, but big into AI because of Nvidia. And the strange thing about this story, Thomas, is that they sold every share and they took out $5.8 billion. Right?
Only billion, Willie?
Billion, yeah. But the strange thing was, it wasn't as if they were worried about the markets and they were going to cash. They reinvested every penny of that money in 3 companies within 2 days. So what is going on in the AI space?
I finished a book on SoftBank, and the leader of SoftBank is an incredible, mercurial character, Willie. But I mean, I don't see them as a barometer of markets because he has made so many bad bets. He bet on WeWork. Don't know if you remember that one. And that was where it was just a landlord, but it got some tech valuation, and SoftBank lost billions in there. A few that went
the property market in China. Big loss.
But there are a few that went spectacularly right. So I would see SoftBank as a punter. But we've been saying it for a few weeks now. The valuations don't make any sense to me. A friend of yours, Michael Burry from the film The Big Short, you were telling me this morning that he's actually closed his fund because he can't work out the valuations anymore.
He had a bet last week to gain $187 million on just the point that SoftBank done the following week, that people would start pulling out of AI. And Michael Burry, obviously, people know, who was a guy who said the markets were about to crash when nobody else believed them. But what he said is that he started off 2 weeks ago by saying, I'm going to bet against, right, the valuations of these companies. And he said now it's got so bad that he is closing his fund because the valuation of companies out there are absolutely ridiculous. And this is interesting for someone like him, none of the valuations are built on the fundamentals.
I don't really invest in the stock market, so I know a little bit about it, but I don't know a lot about it, Willie. So, but yeah, I think this looks toppy. Now, someone else who knows about trillions is our old pal or your old nemesis, Elon Musk. He got his 1 trillion, remember that is 12 zeros, payday 75% approved. Now, any sane person listening to the show, and I'm sure there's a few insane people, there's a few insane presenters, but anyway, there's a few insane people listen to it, would say $1 trillion pay packet. Give me some of that. But let's just look behind the headline. So, Tesla just now is worth $1.4 trillion, right? Which is more than every Western car company put together. And Elon's words, he said, with AI and robotics, there is no obvious limit to the growth of Tesla. Wow. So in order to get his $1 trillion pay packet, over the next 8 years, he's got to take Tesla to an 8.5 trillion market cap, and he's got to increase earnings 24 times to $400 billion. And in the meantime, he's not taking any salary or bonus. A good deal or a bad deal, Willie?
Well, there was one other bit at the end as well that's part of his deal, that he must find the successor for him.
Oh, was that in there? Right, I missed that.
Yes, right. So that'll be interesting to see how he does that. But I will watch this with interest. I am saying that he does not get $1 of that $1 trillion.
I'm saying I hope he does.
Well, for everybody, I hope he does, but I doubt it very much. Couple of good, quick wee stories to end. See that Project Willow, which is the initiative set up to deal with the fallout of Grangemouth, has had its first big win. Syntec Fuel, who are a biofuel producer, have announced plans to build a facility in the area that will see the creation of 200 green jobs and the investment of tens of millions of pounds. No public money was needed to support the decision, and the plant will produce fuel that can act as a direct replacement for diesel and engines. Wonderful news.
Wonderful news, Willie, and it didn't get as much in the press. I know Terry Murden covered it in Daily Business, but that is actually a very good news story. Very good news story. Now, can I finish this segment with, I'm going to call him a pal. Of course, he's not a pal. I've met him twice, but anyway, I'm going to call him an old pal. Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is now 95 years old, Willie. And he does a letter to shareholders every year, and he's been doing it since about 1965. When my son Jamie joined West Coast Capital, he said, right, Dad, what do I need to do? I said, you need to read every letter that Warren Buffett has written to shareholders since 1965. He did that, and now he tells me what's in the letters. So he has said, this is the last one, Willie. So let me just go over a couple of things, because I just love the man. First of all, if you or I had put $1,000 in 1965 into Berkshire Hathaway, his company, guess what it'd be worth today?
$3.5 million.
$42.5 million. It beats working, Willie.
I was only out to the multiple of 10.
And his rules are up on my office as I walk up the stairs in Dundonald. Warren Buffett's face is there, and this is what greets me every morning I'm in. This is Warren's rule. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1.
The thing I love about Warren Buffett, when you read his books and you watch the programs about him, right? I love the way he tries to make it so simple to understand his model, right? And his model is all about cash businesses and cash flow and then the importance of compound interest.
Yeah, compounding, Willie.
Right? And people don't know this. One of the things that people don't know about investors in Berkshire Hathaway is they're always encouraged over the years to leave it in.
Leave it in.
Leave it in. Don't take dividends. Don't take dividends. So all the cash that generated allowed them. The last time I read, I think they were sitting with 200 billion in cash. In cash, right, apart from what they'd invested. Let me finish again with another good story, I think, with a big opportunity. I see that there's potentially going to be £1 billion spent in the development and upgrade of public infrastructure in Scotland. So hopefully loads of small companies will be able to, through the Scottish Procurement Alliance, will be able to get on the tender list, and there's an opportunity there of getting some work. So for anybody who is not already looking to find out how you get on the list, find out about the Scottish Procurement Alliance and see if you can get a wee bit of the £1 billion they're potentially going to spend in the upgrade in the public infrastructure.
Let's hope so. Will you indulge me and give me the last word to Warren?
Go on.
His business partner, who passed away recently, Charlie Munger, this is Warren's words. He said, "After 65 years of buying and supervising a great variety of businesses, Charlie and I have not learned how to solve difficult business problems. What we have learned is how to avoid them." Chapeau.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, Sam, another great show for all the listeners and viewers. Hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
See you next week for another budget. Yay!